say good morning to you and my co-panelists, and to say good morning to the people of Brussels South. Just a minor correction. I'm the deputy ranking member.
Deputy, sorry.
On the Education Committee
right.
of Parliament. I can't start without saluting our gallant teachers who have sacrificed enormously and in the recent times at the peril of their own lives and comfort to ensure that they continue to train the future of this nation. We are all on this panel today by virtue of teachers who have taught and nurtured us from essentially nobodies and no names into persons of value, not only to our families, to our communities, but to our nation and the entire human race. As the son of a teacher myself, and as somebody who was in academia until recently, I know firsthand the value of education. And if you know the value of education, you must know the value and appreciate the work of a teacher. Something I have argued based on my own experiences in other parts of the world and seeing the way the educational systems have been set up and the way they function, that if I had a choice, the group that should receive the most recognition, receive the most remuneration, should be teachers, not politicians, not engineers, not doctors, not architects, because all of these other categories of professionals are produced by teachers. So if you look at some of the countries that we ought to be looking at for best practices, you will notice the working conditions and the conditions of service for teachers are usually at the very top of the ladder. Unfortunately, we seem to want our teachers to give up their best, but we don't seem to be conscious of the need to ensure that they are properly motivated in terms of their conditions of service and the working conditions. And I think that is where the debate is, if you were to listen clearly to Reverend, who obviously is representing teachers and is on the ground. We will come to the figures with regards to the grading and how we have improved over time.
But that's a very important issue you raise.
No, I'm not.
No, there is a very important issue you raise about the remuneration.
Yes.
Because as the Reverend Isaac also speaks about, it appears this is the reason they are leaving.
It is.
Okay? And unfortunately, we live in a country where politicians or a public officer's salary can take care of a teacher for perhaps the whole year.
But yes, so essentially what I'm saying is that we need to reconfigure because this is not acceptable. It is not best practice. And so why are we maintaining a structure that is not going to motivate and encourage the teachers to give up their best? They are doing a lot already, but we know they can do even better. So what is holding us back as a nation, as a society, in putting our money, as the saying goes, where our mouth is?
That's right.
If we recognize the role of teachers, if we recognize their value, if we recognize their indispensable
Here we
contribution,
say their reward is in heaven.
No, and that is part of the problem. In fact, their reward cannot be in heaven. Their reward must be here. They are human beings like us. They have the same challenges like us. They go to the same markets like us. They have the same expenditures like us. They also suffer the brunt of an economic downturn. They are suffering from the current levels of inflation.
So it's agreed,
yes,
that better remuneration,
that is it,
will resolve this problem.
I agree.
You are moving.
That is it.
You are moving to.
Now, I just wanted to comment on some of the figures that were given and provide you a few more figures. Christian Adaipoku, the registrar of the National Teaching Council, indicated that annually we churn out about 30,000 teachers, right? And of course, we have 46 colleges of education which are public, and we have a number of private colleges of education as well. Now, he sought to also explain and justify the comments that he made. And I think he made these comments a day prior to the World Teachers' Day. And he indicated in that comment, which was largely circulated in the public media.
It appears it was strategic, so that it got discussed at the
well, it seems to make sense.
Yeah.
I would say it's a smart move.
Yeah.
Because that has given us a proper context.
Right.
But for what he said, the Minister for Education and the President of the Republic would have gotten away with the very flowery language that we saw them express, clearly trying to, praise themselves for a good job well done. But now we know, based on the debate that Christian Apaak's comments have generated, that this is not all rosy. There are serious issues to be dealt with. Now, the minister in his comments indicated that Ghana was not experiencing a shortage of teachers. And I am very happy that the president of NAT has openly challenged that assertion. Because how do you define shortage? The shortage and its definition must be contextualized. It must be based on the needs of the particular segment of society that is shortchanged as far as that shortage or lack of shortage is concerned. So if you take my constituency of Busa South, for example, as the president of NAT rightly said, if I agree with him, because this is what is happening on the ground. I have schools in Busa South where you have only the headmaster or the head teacher, a basic school, manning entire KG to lower primary, that is primary 4. So you can't tell me or the people of Busa South that there is no teacher shortage. It is not their responsibility.
No, factually, is it not what the minister said? Distribution rather than a shortage.
And
because you have them, except there are places where you don't have them in the numbers. So the president of NAT says there are schools in Accra, you go, they are in excess. And then you go to a school in a rural village somewhere, and there's 1 or 2, and they need more.
Well, that's why I'm saying the definition is relative, because for me, there is a shortage. For my district director of education, there is a shortage. For my communities where you have a junior high school with only 2 teachers, there is a shortage. It is the responsibility of the minister to address the issue. The minister shouldn't lament with us. We should not be hearing the minister tell us that there is no shortage, but rather the issue has to do with distribution. What is he doing to ensure that when teachers are posted to Dorninga, my community, or Bachongsa, or Bedemlisi, they take up those appointments, they go there, and they stay to dispense their responsibilities. That is not our role. That is his role. So he can't expect us to accept and swallow hook, line, and sinker his argument that there is no shortage, when in fact on the ground,
what happens to
there are shortages.
What happens to us as citizens, as members of the community, being patriotic also, and thinking about where we have come from? So 100 people get qualified to become lawyers. When is it they are going to call another batch of lawyers? You see a good number who may have come from some, town or village. In the end, 90% want to stay in Accra. Nobody wants to go down there. Meanwhile, there's not a single lawyer available to provide service. That's about us too, isn't it?
Yes, I agree with you.
Because you guys have told us about the good old days, so to speak, where you are being posted to a village and you are happy about it. Even national service, you are very happy to go to a remote area. But today, everybody is trying to cut corners so they stay in the town, in the cities.
Well, I know very well that you would agree with me. The reason why this happens, and the reason why a lot of citizens are not willing to make more sacrifices, is because they know there are certain conditions of service that they ought to benefit from. They know there ought to be certain minimum provision of services to allow them to be able to take up those appointments in those areas and to be able to thrive and to do the work that they ought to do. How do you expect a teacher who is entitled to 23 different categories of allowances, and you are giving that teacher only 3 of the 23?
This something in reality?
Well, you can ask the NAT president. Yes. A lot of them are not getting what they deserve. So when the teachers speak about conditions of service, these are some of the issues. Randy, Landy, something. The other issue has to do with the inertia as far as Ghana and the ministry is concerned. We ought to put in these remote rural areas the needed basic structures. We need teacher accommodation. We need to provide basic amenities, even if it is solar. And then we need to motivate them. As in other parts of the world, Ghana is not the only country with very remote areas. The question we should be asking is, how is it that in those other countries where they have remote areas, teachers are willing to take up appointments and to stay in the rural areas to teach? That is because they have made conscious efforts to put in place the basic structures and amenities to make it tolerable for teachers to go. I have argued, for example, that if we were to look at the Canadian example, before you send the teachers, or even before they graduate and they are posted, you have some agreement with them. Those teachers who are willing to take up appointments in the rural areas, government can say, well, we have put there a teacher's quarters. There is solar. We've provided some TV, a fridge.
Basic.
Because we are far from, the urban area or the nearest town, you get a motorbike, source of transportation. Then we say, look, for going there, you sign an agreement with us that you'll be there for 5, maybe 4 or 5 years. After you've done all of that, government then gives you a scholarship to go for further studies. There are even countries where teachers who take up appointments in remote rural areas, like in Canada. We have very cold parts of Canada where nobody wants to go, where the Inuits live, for example, very cold environments. You get your salary plus half. Do you think that teachers will not go? So it's all about the conditions of service. And so if we want to be honest and sincere in addressing the challenges facing teachers, these are some of the practical things that we ought to do. And very quickly, you see, to me, there are 2 main issues that we ought to look at as far as the welfare and output of teachers as we expect them to dispense are concerned. The conditions of service and the working conditions. The working conditions are also atrocious. Atrocious. Samson, as you sit here, you are hosting a program. If your working conditions are not at par, you don't have the tools to execute your work, how would we expect you to give of your best? Imagine you didn't have your laptop. Imagine your teleprompters were not functioning. Imagine your producers were not available. How do we expect you to be excited and motivated about coming to host your program? And it is the same with the teachers. They don't have textbooks. Several years after the introduction of a new curriculum, the textbooks are still not available in every school. For 8 terms, government has failed to remit capitation grants. And capitation grants are the reason why public basic education in the Republic of Ghana is free. So when you are not remitting the capitation grants, where headmasters can procure chalk, attendance registers, can fix broken doors and windows, get masons to patch, cracked walls, finance sports, finance cultural activities. How do you expect the teachers to be excited about their work?
Yeah, but there's an interesting part. You see the statistics put out there. You can look at it.
Yes.
If this is what the teachers are capable of in the absence of textbooks, is it a question that there is a certain change in policy that you disagree with, or it's really about textbooks?
No, the issue is to give them the tools needed to execute their work. They are doing well. So what that then means is that if they have the full complement of the tools that they need, if their working conditions are also at par, then they will do even better. And that is what we are all asking for. So if under these conditions, we are getting this level of output, that logically would mean that if the conditions of the teacher improve,
Right.
we would even see
Thank you.
better results
Thank
than
you.
we are
Thank you
currently
very
witnessing.
much.